Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Come on in. Come on in. It's a good day here today. Come on in. Just getting this out. Good morning, Chainbreakers. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. It is Monday, October the 7th, 2019, and this is going to be another fantastic day. It's a little bit crisp out there this morning, but it's going to turn into some really nice temperatures, right around 70 degrees here in central Indiana. And to me, that's fantastic weather. Good morning, Jeremy. Glad to see you here this morning. Come on in, folks. Hi, I'm Brad Smith, and I am your host for Chainbreakers 365 Live and the creator of hashtag Uplift and Rise. And I want to welcome you here today. Today is going to be another fantastic day because that's the way I choose for today to be. You see, today we're going to take a look at things a little bit differently because I'm going to ask you to look at things with fresh eyes. Good morning, Midge Rudder. Glad to, Midge, I don't know if you've been here this morning or before or not, but I want to welcome you today if this is your first time. And if it's not, welcome anyhow, because I've not seen your name before. Glad to have you here. I want to take a look at things today through fresh eyes. So for those of us who are in the car business, we kind of laugh sometimes when we go to appraise somebody's car. And there are some things wrong with it. It might be a chip in the windshield or a certain noise that it always turns out that it's been there for a long time. But the owner of the vehicle forgot that it was there because they've been looking at it or listening to it or dealing with it for so long, they forgot that there was even a problem there, right? So we need to take a look at things with fresh eyes. And that's a little bit of what I'm talking about today, because I want you to take time to step back from your life. Step back from who you are, step back from what's going on in your life, and just start noticing things around you that maybe are a little bit different or maybe a little bit out of sorts or aren't quite right. So this is kind of coming from me from a very personal position this morning, because last several days I've felt a little bit out of sorts, very lethargic, not really sure what was going on in my life, why I didn't feel like I was on top of things. And I got to noticing all of the little tiny things that I was leaving set aside. You see, I was still accomplishing my goals. I was still getting things done. I was still knocking the big picture of everything I had to do. I was getting it done. But I was leaving all the little small things set aside. All the little tiny commitments that I'd made along the way, I was leaving them undone, and they'd get buried in a pile, or they'd get set aside, or just maybe they were set into a place that I didn't walk right by all the time. Or maybe it was there right in front of me all the time, and I got so used to seeing it that I didn't even realize it was there anymore. So that's what I'm kind of talking about today. I want you to step back and take a look at things going on in your life that maybe we need to step back from a little bit. Maybe we need to look at with fresh eyes and see what it is in your life that maybe isn't quite right or isn't being taken care of the way it should be. Now, it's getting late in the season, so many of us, as far as our yards at home, we're getting ready to step back and let it just kind of go dormant for the winter, right? But how is it that you're going to let your yard or your garden or whatever go dormant? Are you just going to let it grow and end? Or are you going to make it look nice, and that's the way it's going to be for the winter? Are you going to make sure that all the leaves are cleaned out of the beds, that the edges of the beds are trimmed, the edges of the sidewalks are cut back, right? All those little details, are you going to make sure those are undone? Or are you going to keep looking at them every single day, noticing that something subconsciously in your head isn't quite right, but you're going to leave it untaken care of for the next several months because it goes dormant into the winter? But you see, all those little tiny things that we leave undone, they tend to still sit there and nag at us. They sit there and tend to still get at us. What about all those little piles that we've set aside and that need to be picked up, that need to be gone through, the mail that just needs to be sorted and dealt with, right? Or maybe it's that junk drawer. What's in your junk drawer that you just keep throwing things in there and you don't get them quite taken care of? Well, maybe we need to step back and take a look. Now, sometimes in business, what we need to do is when we pull in to work, if you're in management and this is something that you need to take responsibility for, or maybe even if you're an employee, but because you have a personal buy-in to the way customers see you or see your business, you need to look at things from fresh eyes. Is it easy for your customers to figure out where to park when they come in? Is everything all taken care of, or are there weeds growing up through the sidewalks, right? Is your inventory all positioned and placed where it should be, or are there things out of order? Are signs not quite right? If there are signs that we have up at work, are they dated, but we keep walking by them every day and we don't realize that the date is already passed, so we need to get rid of them and throw them away? We need to get something fresh. We need to take a look at things from a fresh perspective, because as our customers walk into our lives, or as friends or as family walk into our lives, right? They're looking at us from a fresh perspective. They're looking at us from something they either are seeing for the first time, or they're looking at us from a perspective of, I haven't seen them for a long time, but now I'm noticing things that I didn't notice before. I'm noticing things that are not quite the way it should be. I'm noticing things that aren't really in integrity with who they are or what they say they are. So are you doing your proper housekeeping? Are you doing the things that need to be done? Are you picking up? Is your family being taken care of the way your family should be? So as we go through our lives today, I want to take a look at things with fresh eyes. Is it easy for your customer to do business with you? Is it easy for your friends and your family to interact with you? Do they look at you with integrity because you do what you say? Do they look at you with integrity because you mean what you say? Do your kids continue to push the boundary because the line of where that boundary isn't quite clear? There's a lot of ways that we can take a look at this in our lives, and a lot of different angles that this comes from. And the more we step back and start taking a look of what is out of line with who I am or who I want to be, the more we realize that maybe we have little things that need to be taken care of, and we need to step back and put those in alignment. You see, many times, if you've ever sat down and written a book, written a story, written a novel, or maybe if you can just think back to being in school and thinking when you put together a composition, if it was any length at all, that many times what we had to do was write down a timeline or an outline so things made sense. We had to write notes, so we made sure to include them, so we had that introduction, the body, the conclusion, and all the points within the body that needed to be made. Are you able to do that because your storyline is clear? Are you able to do that because your outline makes sense? Are you able to do that because all of your points fall in place? Well, as we look at that in our lives, we need to look at that with fresh eyes. Because there's so many times we come in and we start working on things, or we just start going at it because that's our habit, that we don't realize that things are different around us than the way they always are, or the way we always think they are. Because sometimes we put on those blinders because we're dealing out of habit, and we're not seeing the weeds in our grass. Metaphor. We're not seeing that star in our windshield. We're not seeing the dent in the door. We're not hearing that rumble or clatter or clang, right? We're not realizing that our brakes are pulsating. Little things, but that can mean a lot. Maybe it's that junk drawer. Maybe it's in the way things are organized. Maybe it's in cleaning out the fridge, right? Maybe it's in all those little things that tend to nag at us, that make us inefficient, that make us so that we're not in integrity with ourselves. Because what you don't realize is that when things are out of integrity with who we are, what we said we would do, how we would be in alignment, it nags at our subconscious. It nags at our mental framework. And then what happens? We feel out of sorts. We don't necessarily know why, because we haven't looked at it, because it's in our subconscious. We need to bring things from our subconscious out to our conscious mind so we can deal with them. And once we've dealt with them, we know how important it is to take care of the details, to take care of the small things in our lives, because it's those small things that really put us in integrity, make us who we are, so that we can function at our best. Are you functioning at your best today? Are you already giving it 110%? And if you are not, why not? Sometimes it isn't that conscious thing. It's those little tiny things that are out of alignment because we didn't stop to look at them with fresh eyes. So I challenge you today, as you go forward, as you move forward, to look at everything with fresh eyes. Look at everything from a fresh perspective. Look at things differently than you have before. How would somebody walking in my house see my house? How is a customer walking into my place of business for the first time? How do they see my place of business? Can they find what they're looking for? Does it look fresh and strong and presentable? When they leave, will they talk about what a great place this was to do business? If not, maybe you need to get yourself in alignment. If your house isn't in alignment with who you want it to be for visitors, for family, for friends, for customers, I ask you today to dig in and look at everything from fresh eyes and fresh perspective, and be who you need to be. Be in integrity, and I guarantee you, you will function much more in line with who you want to be. I want to thank you for being here today. I hope that you found this useful. Right here with Chainbreakers 365 Live, we are on here every single Monday through Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have difficulty finding us live, you can find us here on replay at Chainbreakers 365. Or you can go to chainbreakers365.com, where you'll find a page for our videos as well as Chainbreakers 365 gear. I want to thank you so much for being here. Do me one favor. If you found this useful, tell your friends, tell your family. The best way you can do that is hitting that share button. Share this out. Let everybody know. And I will be sure to see you tomorrow, right here tomorrow morning on Chainbreakers 365 Live. Thanks so much for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye now.